Warning, this podcast contains mature themes and strong language and is not intended for younger audiences. Listener discretion is advised. Thank you.
Listening to the Novaa Craane Podcast, the show that discusses the things that matter and why. With a new episode every Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern. There's never a boring time here. And now, without further ado, please welcome your host, Novaa Craane.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the debut episode of my newest podcast. My name is Novaa Craane. It's such an honor to have you guys here. This is my new podcast. I'm going to be doing weekly shows about just stuff I really want to talk about. This is my first time doing any sort of, long-term project like this, and I'm really looking forward to it. And, if you guys have any suggestions as well, feel free to drop them in the comments for me. I'm looking to learn more about this, because I think it's going to be a really good time. Also, I'm not really sure how much this mic is picking up the rocking on my chair. This is not important to the topic, but, I got a new rocking chair recently, and it's actually pretty comfy. I like it a lot more than the chair I used to have. It's very cushiony, very soft, and, all that good stuff. I'm really enjoying it. But, anyway, before we go on with any more of this podcast, I'd like to give a special shout out to Kyle Hebert, a very talented voice actor. If you guys don't know, he's the guy that does it. If there are any people that watch Dragon Ball Z, he's the guy at the beginning of every, or at the end of every episode. It's like, next time on Dragon Ball Z, he's that guy. And I recently booked a Cameo for him to read out the intro, and when I got it, I was blown away. I was shocked. So I want to thank you, Kyle, for helping me out with that. I'm gonna leave a link. I'm gonna leave a link to his Cameo in the description if you guys want to support him financially. His services are very, very terrific, man. Thanks again, Kyle. You really are the greatest, man. So anyway, y'all, we're going to jump straight into this because honestly, I'm really excited to bring you guys this. As you know, on the channel recently, we've been talking about a guy named Daniel Larson and how he's pretty much, become pushed to the mainstream recently, despite being a very, niche topic, of course. And, someone recently put out a documentary about him, which has gotten about over 200,000 views. It's been popping off. So this person's name is Kusari. And, as like I said, he recently released the Daniel Larson documentary on YouTube. Since the documentary released, it's pretty much become a number one source on the internet for finding information on Daniel Larson. Literally, you can look up the name Daniel Larson. It's like the first video that pops up. So a lot of people seem to like it, and he really, really brings a lot of clarity to some of the events within the history of Daniel's life. And honestly, I gotta say this because I'm sure he's probably watching this. We all really appreciate it, man. It's literally a godsend to the internet, and we thank you for it. But anyways, I watched the documentary. I thought it was very informative, and I reached out to him on TikTok to see if he wanted to have a conversation about it, and he was kind enough to do so. And what you're gonna hear in just a minute is an interview I conducted with Kusari, the creator of this documentary, and we kind of just spitball about what's going on with him right now. We get into some, anime stuff because he made some anime content on TikTok, and I thought I should bring it up just in case anyone was curious. And we also get into a sneak peek into his newest project. I'm not going to say what it is yet. You'll find out once we get to that part of the video, okay? Or podcast, rather. But before we actually get started with that, there's a couple disclaimers I want to make, mostly concerning audio quality. But if you don't give a shit about that, I'll display the little time thing. I can't remember what it's called right now. I'm baked as fuck. But you know what I mean. Timestamp. I'll have a timestamp posted right on the video for anyone who just wants to go and get to the interview part just right away. I understand. You don't want to sit through a bunch of talk. I completely understand. So first and foremost, I'm like loud as shit for some reason in the clip. I don't know how to fix it, honestly. So I guess this can be considered your volume warning. Just know that I'm going to be a little bit louder. We decided to record both voice tracks at once, and that's kind of my fault. So I apologize. I'll try to record both tracks from now on. But just wanted to warn you that I'm going to be a bit louder than usual. And secondly, if it sounds like I'm very awkward in some parts of the interview, I'll be straight up with you. It's because I was. It's my first time doing this sort of thing, and obviously your first time doing something, there's gonna be road bumps along the way. But if y'all could just be patient with me, I would greatly appreciate it. Or if you want to say, I can't believe you don't know how to have a conversation with someone, I'm gonna punch you in the face. I mean, if you want to say that, that's fine. I don't fucking care. It's the internet. It's like, the fuck you gotta do, so I don't really give a shit about that sort of thing. It's whatever. People are entitled to their opinions. But anyway, yeah, it's my first time doing this. If y'all are able to be patient with me, I'd greatly appreciate it. But other than that, that's all I've got to say, really. I guess we can go ahead and get straight into the video or interview. About 7 minutes in, so I don't want to keep y'all waiting any longer. But thank you so much for checking out this podcast. If you enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And if you got any ideas on what you want to hear me talk about, put them in the comments. I'll be hopefully I'll be having like some co-hosts now and then to kind of mix it up a bit. There's still a lot I want to do with this show, and I can't wait to see what's to come. But anyways, guys, without further ado, I present to you my interview with the creator of the Daniel Larson documentary, Kusari. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Novaa Craane Podcast, and we have a very special guest for you all today. He was pretty well known in the TikTok scene, but recently made his debut on YouTube with this 2.5 hour long Daniel Larson documentary, which at the time of this recording has about over 200,000 views, and I'm really excited to have him here. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome my guest, Kusari. Kusari, thank you so much for coming on here, for spending part of your day here with us. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. I've been big chilling. How about you?
Just splendid, man. So I have a lot that I want to discuss with you, man. Obviously, we're going to be talking about the documentary because that's been popping off. Honestly, man, it's. I remember watching it when it came out. It's fascinating, man. What happened to get you on to the shit, man? I'm sorry. This is my first time doing this sort of thing. My brain's all jumbled out. But yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, Daniel Larson, definitely quite a character on today's internet scape. What drawn you to him exactly?
Well,
just out of curiosity.
Yeah, so it's a pretty funny story. When I was like 15, 16, around that time, in like 2020, I randomly stumbled across Daniel on my For You page for the first time, and it was just like a very surreal moment. Like it was I forgot what exact video it was, but it was one of his old videos, and I think it was where he gave out his phone number on like in the video. He was like, "My name is Daniel Larson, and my phone number is blah 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 blah. If anyone wants to date me, please hit me up. Stay tuned."
Oh my! I didn't even know about that. Oh my god!
Yeah,
and then you wonder why the trolls are bothering him.
Yeah, and this was like early, like I want to say like October, November 2020. No, probably earlier. It was like July 2020, and it was like very early on. So I started following him back when he was like he's already considered a niche lolcow already to some extent, but back when like nobody heard of him was when I like first found him and started following him, and I've just been like keeping up with him since. So just kind of like watching his descent from this like kind of weird but like eccentric individual who's like really corny but still funny to like laugh at, kind of delve into this schizophrenic, homeless, raving madman pedophile with scabies. Like, it was just a whole thing to witness. So I think that project was just kind of a culmination of just years of watching a human being just completely, in all meanings of the word, deteriorate.
It's crazy. It's like you're watching the Joker movie, like in real life.
Yeah, in real time.
Just happening. Yeah, it's like wild,
years,
man.
Dude, years I've been following this person. It's crazy to see like how this whole thing has like panned out, and like the fact that like hundreds of thousands of people now know who he is. And I'm not saying this because of my video. Hundreds of thousands of people already did know who he was. Like Turkey Tom's video hit 1 million views before I even started the documentary. But like the fact that so many people know who he is now, and it's just like all the way back then, it's like it's just crazy, dude. It's like literally not very many people get to see that kind of stuff happen in real time. So it was just really crazy to witness, and I was kind of inspired by that, just like reminiscing on like, damn, this is where he's at today. Like I gotta like just compile everything I know and just like make a video telling his story, because it's just so interesting. Like, you can learn so much from it.
Yeah, and considering that the last person at this sort of caliber that we've witnessed, is Chris Chan, and that was over, 20 years ago?
Yeah.
That whole story started, man?
Most documented person in history.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Now, there are a few points that I want to get to specifically about the documentary. Hopefully just to expand the conversation, of course. And,
yeah, of course.
At the end, you talked about, the mental health and the homelessness in America, which I think is a really interesting point. I feel like a lot of people, and this isn't like an attack towards anyone, because to be fair, I'm guilty of the same thing. It's like we think of this as sort of like a TV show or something, just unfolding in front of our eyes, but we don't consider that this is like an actual human being.
Yeah.
And I think it's great that you mentioned that. Is there anything that you want to touch on, maybe to expand those points?
Actually,
maybe?
Yes, there's definitely a lot I want to say about that. One thing that I've noticed, especially in recent times, is that a lot of people seem to disregard Daniel as a person simply just because, and this is not me defending him, like, you can watch the documentary, you can see the way I portray things. Like, he is an awful, awful, disgusting person, and
absolutely
deserves zero sympathy at all, unless it's in regards to his disability or his homelessness. But, like, I think a lot of people seem to disregard the fact that, like, at the end of the day, this is a human being. This is an actual real-life person with a disability who suffers from so many mental issues, who has just been given so many of the wrong cards in life. And honestly, like, as eccentric and weird as it is, there's so many memes, from it that are really, really funny. Like, I will say, like, I laugh at Daniel Larson all the time. But I feel like, I think that there is a lot of nuance to his whole story. Like, I feel like at the end of the day, people do need to understand that he's not just some fictional character that we can all mess with and laugh at and, you know, try to fuck with for lulz. You know, he's a lolcow, you know. I typically tend to be against the whole lolcow thing in general. I just find the stories interesting and the people themselves interesting case studies. You know,
yeah.
I don't think that, you know, people seem to realize enough that, you know, this guy being fucked with causes actual hurt for businesses, for actual people like Bob and his care providers and his houses, you know, property. You know, he breaks the law, he fucks with people, he has a disease, he has scabies, you know, he's spreading that around. Like, this is an actual serious issue regarding an actual person, and he's going to die. He is going to die on the streets, homeless, and it's actually fucked up. And I just, you know, I wanted to portray him not as just, you know, some joke or whatever. That's why I never put any of my own jokes in or commentary in the video, because, you know, it's an actual serious case, and, you know, I feel like it deserves, you know, some sort of mature, you know, portrayal. You know, I wanted to tackle things in a neutral, mature manner so that, you know, people understand that, you know, yeah, it's funny memes and all that until you realize that this is real fucking life.
Yeah. And, you know, this is something I pointed out in my last video as well, is, you know, there's people that'll you go on Discord calls and troll him, and, you know, it's exactly what you said. You know, you don't know what he's capable of. You know, it's like, you know, and he has already in the past had, you know, he's shown violent tendencies towards people, including Bob.
Yeah, like, I'm not sure if you saw, but there was recently an incident where he physically assaulted a store manager on a Discord call with his quote-unquote managers, and they were
you're talking about that bodega, right?
Yeah, they were
and
saying, like, go Daniel, fuck him up, like, what are you gonna do? You know, you can't just take that, you know, you gotta fight back, blah 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 blah. And it's like, that's exactly the problem that I'm talking about, is like people who do that kind of stuff because they think it's all just some funny joke, you know, to milk the lulz out of this cow, you know. It really does contribute negatively to society as a whole. Like,
absolutely.
Businesses, for the people, for not just Daniel himself. Like, at this point, Daniel's out of the question. He's a lost cause. He's gonna stay the way he is forever. But, you know, it affects other people too in real life, and it should be taken seriously to some extent. Like, I feel like we can laugh at it from a distance, but I feel like the people actually contributing to it and forcing him to do these awful things to himself and to others is really fucked up.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, man. 100%.
Like, Daniel Larson is the reason why I think mental wards should be reopened, in my opinion.
You know, that's an excellent point, and it's baffling considering. Because isn't Colorado like the #1 state for like
disability services,
mental health? Disability services.
Yeah,
and he's still acting the way he is, and it's like it makes you think, you know, if the system is doing anything right when it comes to that sort of thing. And again, you know, it's not that I'm showing sympathy towards Daniel or anything, because you know he's a fucking prick. You know, let's call a spade, you know, but. Yeah, I get your point exactly.
Yeah, I believe the reason why, because I mentioned in the documentary that Daniel Larson was born in Lancaster, California. He was born and raised in California, and he actually moved to Colorado as a young child because his grandma chose to move him to that state, particularly because of the disability services there. Colorado is a very well-renowned state for those types of services, for disability housing, disability care, treatments, therapy, etc.
See, I didn't even know that. I thought, because when I heard that Daniel was the abuser, you know, all along, well, I mean, like, I don't think we know for sure. I mean, I could be wrong, but I did hear something about that. About him hitting his grandma or whatever.
Yeah.
If you're willing to give any context to that.
So I didn't elaborate a lot on it in the documentary because a lot of it was unverified information that couldn't be backed up with any actual media. But I have had people reach out to me who are very close to Daniel and have worked with him in the past. Like, I have people who were a part of Fine Dining Records, a part of Roach Records, all the very first record companies that were first fucking with him, that have sent me insider information regarding Daniel. Like, I have people who have literally met him and interviewed him in real life, send me pictures and clips of him. Like, there's this one guy that reached out to me, a Fine Dining Records guy. He reached out to me on Instagram, and he sent me an hour and a half IRL interview with him and Daniel Larson, where he explains his whole situation with the abuse revolving his mom and stuff like that. And this was after the documentary was aired, so unfortunately I didn't get the actual proof I needed until after the video was already out. But even still, before, there were multiple people who reached out to me and said that they were there. And apparently there's old live stream clips and old, interview stuff from managers and stuff, where Daniel would literally admit that he would beat his parents. He would beat the shit out of his mom. He would hit his wheelchair-bound grandma, or his wheelchair-bound mother, I think, his grandma and stuff. He was a problem, and part of and he would also hit himself, and then proceed to call CPS on his parents and say that they were abusing him. And I'm pretty sure that's how, take it with a grain of salt, because like I said, unverified information, but this is all stuff that I've heard. Like Daniel most definitely was the abuser. So people who post those clips to TikTok of, the Tennyson Center news segment, and they're like, oh, I feel bad for Daniel, he was a troubled child, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he was a troubled child, but a big part of the reason as to why his childhood was so troubled was because he was also incredibly abusive and manipulative. I wonder if it's got signs were early in his childhood. Sorry. No, you're good.
I wonder if it's got anything to do with maybe his father. Maybe was he ever in the picture? I don't know. I just say that because I don't. It just seems like, because it's really shitty of him to do, but I just feel like nobody wakes up one day is just like, oh, I'm gonna abuse my wheelchair bound mother for the funny. Like, no, I don't know, man.
Like I said, there's a lot of nuance going into it. Daniel was born with autism. He was born with all of these mental disabilities and as you can tell, those signs were very early in his childhood. And how those things kind of work, because I grew up with autism myself. Like I myself am autistic.
Oh, welcome to the club, man. I'm high functioning right here.
Yes, sir. And obviously it's different for most people, but a lot of those times it shows up very early in childhood, and it can lead to very serious behavioral issues. And a lot of that, just worsens later if it's not treated properly. So I do think that Daniel Larson's father was a part of his life, because I have seen interviews of people calling Daniel's dad and asking him about his opinions on Daniel. I can send you the videos and stuff after their interviews on YouTube and stuff.
Totally. It sounds cool.
So I do think Daniel's dad was a part of his life, but my opinion on it is that Daniel had lots of problems growing up with these disabilities as a child, and because he didn't receive the proper treatment needed to actually fix those problems, they just worsened in his later stages. I feel like it's more of a problem of people enabling his behavior, and a lot of that has to do with his social media presence.
Yeah, that's what I think too, honestly. And like you said as well, when didn't you say as a kid he was awarded for with M&Ms or something for painting the house, the walls or something? It's that's
got a bunch of paint and crayons, and he started drawing on the walls of his grandma's house, and his own dad said that he thought that that situation contributed to people enabling his behavior early on, which led to further mental health issues. That was,
and I get it. You don't want to be an asshole to your kid either, but it's at some point you got to step in. You know what I mean?
That's what I would do as a kid.
Yeah, it's right. I mean,
I wouldn't hit
hasn't,
my mom,
obviously, you seem like a fine young gentleman.
Yes. I mean, that's as far as I'm allowing you to know. No, I'm just kidding.
But yeah, man, it's crazy, and I want to mention this as well before I forget, because I just lost my shit I didn't know about the mac and cheese incident. Okay, and so the fact I'm sitting here watching this, and the fact that this man substitutes milk with spicy ranch, and he's like, "Why does it taste like spicy ranch?" And I'm like, maybe because he used spicy ranch to make macaroni. You dumbass.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, one common trait with people with autism, and this is also something that I myself kind of struggled with as a kid, but like not really to the same extent, is like you get really picky over food. Like you get really
bro, I'm like that all the
that.
time.
Yeah, and like it kind of like ruins your mood if it's not like the way you want it. Like that's just how it is for anything. Like for some, people with autism, like if things aren't a certain way, like you get really pissed off about it and you start to get paranoid. And I feel like that's also where Daniel's schizophrenia also comes into play,
Yeah.
where he started going into how, he thinks his care provider was trying to poison him by putting jalapenos and spicy peppers and shit in his cheese. It definitely a disability sign, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. So
it's funny, I'm not gonna
yeah, I agree, man. Absolutely. I don't know if you heard me just like slurping on my Fiji water.
I need some water too. I'll get some after the interview though, because I'm already here.
So another thing is about the Sox guy is something I didn't even know about either. Well, let me back that up. I kind of heard like some talk about it, but I never really looked into it. This is Sox's controversy. Mm-hmm. But apparently he's a really polarizing figure within the Larsonians, and honestly, I haven't got a fucking clue why. I mean, I guess because he tries to help him out. I don't know. Any context you can give to that? Because I know nothing about this.
So, like, from an outsider's perspective, and this was me for a very long time, like, I always was pretty confused as to why people hated Ox so much, because I followed him on TikTok, and I, like, saw all of his videos about, like, the whole manipulation ring and whatever, and I was like, yeah, this guy's right, blah, blah, blah. But it turns out that there were actually a lot of instances where Ox would ironically do the same kind of stuff that he was preaching against. So people more so hate him because he's a hypocrite. Like, there are screenshots of him on Discord, fucking with Daniel. There's also the controversy of, like, Ox would dox Daniel whenever he would do something bad in an attempt to get people to spam call him, so he would, like, stop, doing whatever he's doing. Like, I'm pretty sure Daniel was in VC with a bunch of people on Discord, and he was, like, starting to say and do a bunch of fuck shit because, like, trolls were in the call. And, in the general chat, Ox, like, put Daniel's phone number in the chat so that people would start spam calling him and that, he'd be forced to leave. Like, that kind of stuff also, stirred controversy. That and the whole nuke prank thing. Like,
I was going to mention that nuke prank right there. I was surprised he reacted the way he did, honestly.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you know what you're doing when it's Daniel fucking Larson. And especially when you're Ox, someone who has very close personal ties to him and knows him IRL, like, more about him and how fucked up he is than anyone, yet you're still contributing to the same sort of, pranks and stuff. Like, I get that, like, the intentions behind it were not bad. They reached a donation goal and the money was going to Daniel, and so he wanted to, like, reach that donation goal and say, like, oh, I'll do this if we reach that goal. And so he did the nuke prank. But, at the same time, it's like, when you do something like that to Daniel Larson, knowing that it will, evoke a reaction out of him because he's so mentally fucked up, it's like you're doing the exact thing that you're preaching against. So mostly people hate Ox because he's a hypocrite. And, while he is a hypocrite, he still, sort of takes the moral high ground and, preaches all of this stuff that he literally does himself, or that he has done himself. I don't think Ox is a bad person. I want to clarify that.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a bad person. I think he's definitely trying to help out and he has good intentions, but I feel like people are more so just sus of him than anything. People just think he's a hypocrite.
Yeah, I get it, man. Honestly, I never really thought of it that way, honestly. You think, you see that, nuclear warfare is coming, you'd be a little bit skeptical, but I see your point.
Especially when you're the president of the United States of America.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, yeah, yep. Let's see, I'm looking at the wiki right now. It seems like last update was April 12th. He got kicked out of the American Dream Mall.
Yeah.
I guess before that he came to New Jersey. That's
Yeah, I'm surprised he actually made it to New York. Honestly,
bro, I am too. I was like,
I'm surprised.
Yeah,
He made it
I
out
remember
of Vegas.
Yeah, especially with the police and shit, man. It's like
It's actually a miracle he survived. Honestly, I ended the documentary right there, thinking, this is where it ends. Daniel's going to die in Vegas. He's not going to make it out. And honestly, now I think he is going to die in New York.
I think a lot of us felt that way whenever he got to Vegas. I don't even know if they'll ever let him back in Colorado, honestly.
Yeah.
After all the shit he's done.
He's never going back to Colorado. He's never going back. Because not just because, all of his legal stuff, if he goes back to Colorado, he's more than likely going to be arrested and tried, and he's going to serve jail time because he's missed multiple court dates and he's still missing court dates, and if he goes back to Colorado, he's fucked legally. But
yeah,
not only that, just the fact that that's where he had his disability care. Daniel would rather be homeless than in disability care because he doesn't necessarily have the same freedoms that he does whenever he's on his own. So him being homeless, he's willingly homeless. People on TikTok seem to act oh, I feel so bad for him. Who would do this to him? Blah, 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 blah. Daniel made himself homeless. He's willingly exited his housing services nearly every single time, except for the situations where he's been forcefully kicked out because he put holes in the walls and stuff. He's never going back to Colorado. He's going to stay in New York more than likely because he thinks Grace Vanderwaal is going to be there to marry him and shit, and it's fucked. He's going to die there.
Shit's insane. Well, I guess with that being said, I guess you already said it, but I'll ask anyway. Any predictions on, Daniel's future? I mean, he did, maybe he's just gonna wander around until, inevitable.
It's not looking good for him. I think he has maybe a solid 1 to 3 years left, and I will be.
I'm surprised. I'll be surprised. Yeah, I'll be surprised if he makes it out of this year. Honestly.
Yeah, he's going to die soon.
I mean, we're not trying to be morbid or nothing. We're just trying to keep it realistic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, he's been homeless for so long, and obviously many homeless people survive a long amount of time, but Daniel is a very different case. He's not only homeless, but he also has a disease where there are literal mites burrowing in his skin and eating him alive. He's not gonna do well, especially if he runs into the wrong person or if he gets mugged or says the wrong thing in front of the wrong person and he gets his ass beat. He's already pretty beat up as it is. I'm not sure if you've seen his nose recently, but it's not.
Yeah, I do, man.
He will be dead within the next few years. I'm calling it right now, and I hate to say this, and it sounds kind of shitty on my part to be predicting someone's death, but genuinely, in the case of Daniel Larson, I do not see him surviving the next couple years.
Unfortunately, I have to agree with you on that, honestly. Part of me wishes he can pull up the strength to get his life together, some way or another. I mean, obviously, it's he's fucked either way, but
there's no redemption. Honestly, I feel the last chance that Daniel had at life was his last disability services, his last housing. But ever since he kind of went off the grid and decided to live a life on his own, I feel that was where he shot himself in the foot. I think California when he went to California and he was living in Los Angeles for a bit, I feel like he actually had a chance because he had Ox there helping him, and he was actually trying to get him housing. He was trying to help him fix his legal stuff. He was, genuinely trying, but, he's been traveling America now, and he's going from city to city to city, state to state to state, and it's just, there's no way out of it now. There's no saving himself. There's no redemption. He's gone. He's a lost cause. All we can do is sit back and watch until he eventually fades away, really.
Yeah, I'd say that's the unfortunate truth, man.
He's either going to be institutionalized, which honestly is the best case scenario, but
I agree.
Unlikely. But it's either he's institutionalized or he spends the rest of his life in prison for doing some fuck shit. Like, I won't be surprised if he genuinely murders someone. Like, with his previous mental health history and, like, his outbursts and stuff. Like, I will not be surprised if it all culminates in a violent attack towards someone that ends up putting him in jail, or if he actually kills someone. Because he's threatened to do it so many times. Like, it's a matter of time until he eventually does something.
Yeah, he's literally talked about wanting to buy a gun. I mean, and it's like, these videos are out in the public, and it's like, hello, officers, do you see this right here? It's like, I don't know, I'm surprised nobody hasn't even, like, acted yet. I mean, I guess legally they can't do anything, because he's not, like, he's not like a... I don't know.
Also,
I don't know what I'm trying to say.
It's a hazard in itself because of his scabies.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, if you put yourself in a police officer's shoes, or even just a pedestrian just walking by and you happen to see Daniel on the street, like, I genuinely feel like if I ran into Daniel Larson, I would be genuinely scared for my own safety. Just by being around
honestly.
him. Funny story, actually, and I'm sorry to sidetrack, but...
you're good, man. Yeah, that's what we do here.
Yeah. I have friends that have actually met Daniel Larson, like IRL friends, people that I know. Like, I posted my documentary on my Instagram story, like the thumbnail or whatever, and I was like saying, hey, to my IRL friends, like on my personal account, I was like, hey, watch my documentary, blah blah blah. And then my friend was like, oh my god, dude, I saw him at a restaurant in LA, and I was like, no,
oh my god, that's...
And I was like, are you
funny.
joking? And then he was like, yeah. And, like, a bunch of his friends, like, recognized him. Or a bunch of her friends, sorry. Recognized him. It was, like, a girl and, like, a group of, like, 2 other people. And they were, like, sitting next to him at the same restaurant, wearing the same, like, brown jacket and everything. Like, it was when it was so crazy. Like, they actually met him. I also have a friend that's in NYC right now, and I, like, hope he runs into him. But, like, I also kind of don't.
Yeah, I can't imagine just hearing this, like, constantly. Like, so I'm a singer-songwriter, and I get 20 million views per week, or it's whatever the fuck, man. Yeah. Like,
I wish I could have been there at that abortion protest rally.
Bro, I fucking lost it I literally couldn't when he was like, because of my autism, my grandmother passed away of cancer. Get the fuck out of here, bro.
That was the best part of it all.
I would have just left, man, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. I honestly would have, like, said, get the fuck off the stage, dude.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't kick him off sooner. I don't know, they must have been intrigued. Yeah. What he had to say.
I mean, it started off well. Like, it seemed like he was introducing himself and, like, setting the stage for, a possible discussion on abortion. But nah, he just went further and further, and it became obvious, like, oh, this is just a crazy dude, telling his life story about how he got naked online. So.
Yeah, it's strange.
It is.
It's like the internet is. I always say is both a blessing and a curse.
Oh, for Daniel, it is not just a curse; it's an actual hazard.
Yeah, just literally, it's a walking virus for sure.
Daniel Larson's phone is quite literally a public safety violation. Like, Daniel Larson's phone, just like all of his social media is on there, like that, like just that alone is the reason why all of this shit has happened. Like someone needs to fucking destroy his phone again, dude.
Yeah. We need to resurrect fucking Bob Chandler and, you know, have him cut his internet down, you know? You know what I mean?
Bob Chandler? You mean Chris Chan's dad?
Yeah. I'm cutting your internet down. So
My favorite like Chris Chan clip was when like Chris Chan was like screaming at the camera. He was like, "Get my house off the internet now!" And then Bob walks in and he's like, "Turn that thing off."
Fucking Chris Chan is just this. Feels like this one big fever dream to me. You know what I mean?
I think
It's like an endless Tim and Eric skit. Honestly,
I think it's kind of funny and like a bit ironic that both Chris's and Daniel's now absent father figures are both named Bob.
Oh, are they really?
Yeah, you got Bob Proctor, who is
Bob Proctor.
Yeah.
I was thinking of his actual dad for some reason.
Yeah, no, but
I don't know.
I'd say Bob Proctor has been more of a father figure to Daniel than his actual father ever was, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Bob Proctor is such a, like, I don't know, he deserved way better, dude. I feel so bad for him. And now he's out of Daniel's life, and, you know, obviously Bob Chandler is out of Chris's life because he's dead.
He's getting harassed by the people on the subreddit, isn't he?
Who, Chris Chan, or?
But no. Bob Proctor. Like, isn't he getting like constant messages from people or something?
I didn't know Bob was even in the sub. Is he actually?
Oh no. Sorry, I meant like getting phone calls and shit from random people on the internet.
No, I think
which
that was
we
dad.
strongly import people not to do. We
do not
just
dox
respect
people.
people's. Yes, we respect people's privacy here.
Kusari, on the record here, just want to say that I condone, I condemn, I condemn doxing. Oh, fuck.
You heard him. Get to it. Bring out your fucking supercomputers.
Dox everyone.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it's...
Doxing is badass. I'm kidding. No, please don't.
Doxing is badass, but without the ass.
Please.
It's bad and it's ass.
I like that, man.
Yeah.
So I guess switching topics, we, as I mentioned before, you've been on TikTok mostly, before your YouTube debut is, and I honestly, is long form content, something you've experimented before? Well, maybe just out of curiosity.
It's a bit of a long story, but even before the TikTok, like, I was very active on, other platforms. Like, before, I want to say I was first, making content at the age of, like, 14 or 15. Like I said earlier, before the whole thing started, the interview, but
yeah.
I used to...
sorry to interrupt real quick. You haven't been hearing my chair rocking, have you?
No, I haven't.
I don't know. I got a new chair the other day. It was my grandma's old one. She wasn't using it anymore. I'm like, hey, maybe I could have it, get it off your hands for you. She's like, sure.
I'm just
it's very comfy.
In my little spinny chair right here,
Yeah. Dude, I wish I had a chair like yours, dude. The fucking DX Racer chairs are really expensive. They're like $500. Like, for a fucking chair, really? Anyway, yeah. You were saying earlier, I'm sorry to cut you off there.
You're good, dude. It's alright. That was pretty funny.
Yeah. What were you even talking about?
The TikTok and stuff.
Yes.
So, like, before TikTok, I was making content at, like, 14, 15. I used to be pretty active in the Super Smash Bros. Community. A lot of people do not remember me because I've far distanced myself from that whole community, but I used to go by the name Joy-Con God, and I wanted to be a professional esports Smash player, and like get involved in like competitive Smash tournaments and stuff. And so I made a Twitter account, and I was like really active on there, and I made like Smash Twitter content. I would like post clips, and then I started live streaming to Twitch, and throughout like the entirety of like 2020 to the beginning of 2021, I like slowly grew an audience for myself on Twitch. Like I became a Twitch affiliate, or I met the qualifications for affiliate. And I like was selling Twitter banners that I would make. Like I was a graphic designer for like professional Smash streamers and stuff. Like some of there are a few big Smash players that I've actually done work for, but they obviously don't use my shit anymore because it's pretty old. But yeah, I was like making a name for myself in the Smash community. And then in like early 2021, I don't really want to get into the details of it, but I kind of got grounded by my parents, and it led to my computer being taken away for like over a year. So I kind of quit the whole Smash persona for a while, and it was because of me not having my computer and not being able to stream and make my Twitter banners and stuff. I had to like completely abandon that whole side and of my content and start over, and that's when I made the TikTok, and I posted my first TikToks in like 2021, like spring 2021, and I honestly thought I was done. Like I was like, damn, I really built up like 2,000 followers on Twitter, like a few hundred followers on Twitch, all of that to just go away, and like I'm starting over. Like,
that's rough, man.
And then I started posting TikToks, and like my first video right off the bat got like 10K views, and I was like, damn, this TikTok shit is pretty easy. And so I just kept doing it. I would like post my manga collection, and that eventually led to me like becoming more interested in anime and manga, and I started making anime videos. And then there was this one video of mine that absolutely blew up on TikTok. It got like it got like 1.5 million views, and like that's how I got my following. I got like 3,000 followers off that one video. And then since then, I just like started posting more videos, and I eventually just like, eventually cultivated this following on TikTok for like anime content. And then I switched over to like Instagram to like do anime reviews and stuff, and I had my own little art blog or whatever, and I was very involved in that community. And then very recently I kind of left it because like the community sort of died, and so that's when I started making more long form content, and I finally got this YouTube channel started, and I made the Daniel Larson documentary.
Hey, that's pretty awesome, man. Well, it's funny you touched on anime, because that's one of the things I actually wanted to get into. First of all, do you have the favorite anime by chance?
Yes, but it's a bit of a controversial pick, and I might get I might get
a little spicy take. Oh, is it what I think it is, bro?
Yes.
Is it what I think it is?
Yes.
Fucking.
Yes.
Oh my god. Hey, no judgment in this household. You're good. You're in a safe place. You're in a safe place. You're good.
Yeah. I'm not afraid, by the way.
No, you're good. But yeah,
it's Beastars. It's really
Beastars, yeah.
It's really fucking good. More specifically, the manga. Like, I watched season 1 of the anime, like, thinking it was going to be absolute shit. Like, I watched it as a joke. I like went on Netflix. I was bored. I was like, doesn't everyone say this is like the terrible furry anime with like sex scenes and stuff? And then I watched it, and I was like, holy shit, this is like peak fiction. Like, there's so much drama, there's so much character development. It tackles such mature themes in like such a nuanced manner. Like, it talks about racism, it talks about like police brutality, like interrace marriage. Like, there's so many subtle themes and stuff. And I was like, oh my god, this is like an actual underrated masterpiece. And so I read the manga, and the manga was like 1 trillion times better. And it eventually, I was like, holy shit, this is so good. Like, honestly, if you're watching this and you're an anime and manga fan, and you have heard of Beastars, and you think it's it's furry bait, it's just, it's bad, it's for furries, it's blah, blah, blah. Just give it a chance, read the whole thing, and your mind will be blown. It's actually peak fiction. It's so good.
You heard it, y'all. Kusari seal of approval right here. I'm saying your name right? Like,
yeah, you
Kusari?
are. You're like one of the few people that actually does say it right. Like, I've been called Kusari, I've been called Kusari, Kusari, Kusari. Like, people like,
damn, that's crazy. But yeah, I haven't I haven't really watched Beastars. Then again, I don't watch anime as much as I used to.
Honestly, don't watch it. Read the manga.
Read it? Okay.
You can read it for free online. Like, I'll send you a link. It's so good, dude.
Yeah, that's cool. I've been looking for a while to see where I can get some manga.
Yeah, I actually have a manga collection in my closet. Like, I have like a few hundred volumes.
You know, when I do watch anime, I usually try to get the DVDs for the shows I really like. Like, obviously, I have you can't see, I don't have my camera on, but I have like a shelf right by the side, on the side of me, and at the bottom there's Dragon Ball Z and GT. Honestly, you know what? And I forgot to mention, and I'll have to. You'll see it in the final cut. But I got the fucking, and I would have already mentioned it, but I got the fucking, the guy that narrates all the episodes.
Which one?
And Dragon Ball. It's like, the guy's like, next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Yes.
I'll have to show you after this interview, but I got a cameo from him, and he was kind enough to do the intro for the podcast, and I heard it the first time, and I geeked the fuck out, bro. And I'm so glad
podcast?
Just for the podcast, man.
Dude,
honestly,
that's so sick.
Hey, if you guys want to show Kyle, what is it? I don't want to get his name wrong. It's like Kyle Hebert or Herbert or something.
Yeah.
What was it? Kyle. It's spelled Hebert.
Kyle Hebert.
Kyle Hebert. But yeah, if y'all want to support my man Kyle Hebert, man, I'll have his cameo. I'll have his cameo link below. Thank you once again, man.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of your work. I don't think he's watching this podcast. He's probably
Kusari
doing Dragon Ball stuff. Kusari. Heck yeah, dude. Heck yeah. But yeah, I don't really know where I was going with that, but yeah, I try to get the DVDs of the animes that like, and yeah, I'm that one weirdo who still collects DVDs. It's crazy. Another show I really like, and I really gotta finish it. Is Hunter x Hunter,
so
whatever you want to call it, man.
Hunter.
Yeah, my younger brother's a really big fan of it, man.
That's my profile picture on YouTube. If you know the character Kurapika, that's actually how I got my name.
Kurapika, yeah, I know who that is. Yeah.
Like, there's this song from the soundtrack of Hunter x Hunter called the Kusari Yoro, and it's really good. And also, it's just like, if you watch the Japanese dub of the show, they like the villains. They call Kurapika the chain bastard because he uses chains as a weapon, and like in Japanese that's what it is. It's Kusari. That's how you refer to those like those like chains that you use as weapons. And I always thought those chains were so cool, so that's like what I named myself after.
Now, are you a fan of the newer Hunter x Hunter or the one from like the 80s and shit? Just out of curiosity.
I think both are pretty good, but definitely the newer one is the better adaptation, in my opinion. Like, the whole Chimera Ant arc, like the later seasons of the show, it's some of the best fiction you'll ever like watch. It's so good.
Yeah. I've been getting into My Hero again recently. I watched a couple episodes last night.
Yeah,
last time I tried to watch it, I'm gonna be really. This is gonna be really embarrassing. The last time I tried to watch it was my junior year in high school, and I didn't even make it 7 minutes into the first episode. I don't know why, but for some reason, Mount Lady just turned me the fuck off. And it's like, bro, you just had like 2 seconds of screen time and you're already doing ass jokes. Like, what? That's like fucking 2012 humor. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm uncultured, but I don't know. But yeah, I'm trying to get into it again. I'm a really big fan of like the Shonen Jump animes. Mm-hmm. So, I'm gonna give it another shot. I hear this new season is pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah,
And I don't want to miss out on it, you know what I mean?
when it was first coming out in the manga, like the stuff that's airing on TV right now, like I remember people were going crazy over it. Like everyone thought that a certain character was dead, but it turns out that they like he wasn't dead. I'm not gonna spoil it, obviously, but like
Nah,
I
you're good,
remember
yeah.
people were going crazy over that, and I think that's the current arc in the anime right now that they're adapting. I gotta catch up though because it's been, I think I'm on season 3 of MHA, and
Yeah.
the last time I watched it was like a year and a half ago, and I haven't watched any anime or read any manga in a long ass time just because I've been so busy.
Yeah. Like I said, I haven't found. I don't really have the time to watch it as much as I used to. Honestly, if I had to recommend one for you, man, I don't know if are you into like the slice of life stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should look up this one show. I think it's, I don't know, it's pretty well known. You might have seen it already, but just in case, Toradora, man.
Oh yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
Fucking great, man. If anyone has never seen Toradora, this is a PSA for everyone to go watch it. I don't care. I don't care if you have fucking bills coming up. It's $8 for fucking Crunchyroll subscription. Go watch yourself some Toradora, man. It's great, man. It's just, I don't know. I don't know why, but it's weird because I'm not really into like the slice of life, fucking sitcom like stuff.
Yeah, me neither.
But
I'm into like
I don't know. I
dramatic
just
berserk, scene type stuff, like the action. Like I'm not sure. Like not a lot of people know this, and I actually got clowned on for it on Twitter. Like a lot of people were hating on me for it, but.
fuck those people. It's fucking Twitter, man.
A month, yeah, no, dude, it's so funny. I have like my own little hate group on Twitter. Like I have this little group on Twitter, and ever since like the Smash days, like when I would make Smash content as a corny 15-year-old, like obviously, when you're a 15-year-old Smash player with, autism, it's like you're gonna be a little corny, you're gonna be a little awkward on the internet. So it's like you're gonna get some haters. But those people have been like following me ever since like 2020, and they've been obsessed with me, like on my dick ever since those days, and they clown on me for like every little thing. Like one time I ran a poll on my Instagram story when I was in my TikTok arc, and I was like, yo, if I made merch, would anyone buy it? And like 80% of those people said no, and it was pretty embarrassing, but like a screenshot of that made its way into that Twitter circle, and it was getting a bunch of likes. But back to the topic. I got a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure tattoo in New York when like a month after I turned 18. And,
okay.
I got the birthmark, the star birthmark on my left shoulder, and I posted it to social media, and people were like making fun of me about it, but I don't give a fuck. That like I like that tattoo. It's so sick. Like I'm a Joe Star.
I've always wanted to do like at Shenron. Like I wanted to get like Shenron on like my right arm or something. I know that shit's gonna be expensive, but it's gonna look so fucking cool.
Yeah, I also want to get the Brand of Sacrifice from Berserk like on my neck.
Yeah.
Like, have you read Berserk?
I've seen clips of Berserk. I know I gotta watch it, man.
Oh, do not watch it. Do not watch it. Read it.
Don't watch it.
There's
read it. Okay.
Yeah, there's 3 different anime adaptations of Berserk, and all of them have plenty of issues. The only good one is the one from 1997, but it only covers like a certain part of the story, and they still cut out a lot of content and characters and stuff. Like if you want the full experience with Berserk, read it. That's how you're going to get the full story in its full glory, and that's where the art is the best, the story is the best, all the characters are there, nothing is like censored or anything, like it's the full experience. Like if you like Berserk is way too dark for like any normal TV show or anime, so a lot of the adaptations are really shit because they just, cut out a lot of stuff. Like I said, the only good one is the 1997 one, but even still it's like very abridged. So if you want to get into Berserk, read it. And this is a
I'll have
message
to remember
to the
that
viewer
then.
too.
Yeah, I'll have to take a note of that. I didn't even know that. Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about the 97 adaptation, obviously.
No, the 1997 one is still really good on its own because it covers one of the best arcs in the series. It just, like a lot of really beloved characters like Puck or the Skull Knight, like a lot of those characters are just cut out entirely, a lot, like just to save room in the arc, the season. Like a lot of stuff is cut out, but even still 1997 is really good. But definitely read it if you want the full experience.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds cool, man. Yeah, I'll have to do that then. How long has it even been? Like 50 minutes or something?
Yeah,
something like that.
51 minutes.
Yeah. Oh. I don't know, man. Well, I hate to keep you here for too long because I know you're probably a busy man. Obviously, we talked about Daniel Larson a little bit, obviously. Any other sort of lolcows you've thought about or checking? Or it doesn't even have to be lolcows. It could just be people you're really interested in. Anyone you're looking into at the moment? Maybe give people a sneak peek of any projects you're working on, maybe?
Exactly, yeah. That's kind of something I wanted to talk about. So, like, recently I made a community post on my channel where I kind of addressed some comments asking me to do other lolcows and stuff. And the thing is I don't really want to box myself into a specific niche of being a lolcow channel because, like I said earlier in the interview, like, I don't agree with the whole lolcow thing. Like, I don't like the fact that, people can just treat other human beings like that and, have it all be jokes. Like, I have a feeling that if I exclusively covered lolcows and, just talked about people who I kind of see myself in, disabled people and people with mental illnesses, like, I feel like that would just make me really depressed. And I also just don't want to limit myself to making just that type of content.
Yeah, I totally get it, man. It'd definitely be miserable surrounding yourself with all that kind of energy, like 24/7.
So I was like, you know what? If you think I'm a lolcow channel and you subbed just for like exclusive lolcow content, like, just unsub, please, because I don't want to box myself into that category, and I don't want people to be thrown off by my next video because it's not about any sort of lolcow at all. It's actually about a kind of normal person. My next video, and I have announced this before, so it's not big news, but a lot of people don't know exactly who it is. It's about a YouTuber named Technicals. I'm not sure if you've heard of him.
I think I read something about that. I think he put in a pinned comment or something. But no, I haven't heard of him.
Yeah, so Technicals is a Super Smash Bros. Commentary creator who essentially does these deep dives into cases regarding sexual abuse and, just controversies within the community. And he's sort of gained a reputation for uncanceling the canceled. Like, I'm not sure if you heard, but back in July of 2020, a whole wave of sexual misconduct allegations came and just hit the Smash community at large. Like, over...
Yeah, I remember when that was happening, man.
Yeah, like, over 150 people were affected by it. A bunch of the community's top players and streamers, like, someone who used to be the #1 ranked player in the world for multiple years, the #2 player in the world in Smash Ultimate, one of multiple top 10 players, a bunch of the most well-known streamers, commentators, and stuff in the Smash community, they all got outed and exposed for, sexual abuse, rape, abuse of minors and stuff like that. And this guy, Technicals, he kind of dives into these cases and sort of goes over the facts and goes over what is lies. And he sort of dissects these cases and he determines who is guilty and who is not. And he's uncanceled a lot of people who people previously thought were, very reprehensible people. Like, if you've heard of Sky Williams and the whole Sky House situation, like, the reason
is that the girl that
nah, he's a
got
guy.
bullied for? Oh, it's a guy. Sorry, I'm thinking of a different thing. I remember there is a a girl that got bullied out of the community or something
Yes,
because she
that
played a
is-
certain character.
Yeah, that's
Whatever. It was like
Boxy.
Jigglypuff or something, some dumb shit.
You know, she
Anyway.
played Isabel, and she was
Isabel?
15 years old, and she got bullied out of the community because she beat a top player, and people were salty about it, and eventually she got exposed for, like, saying slurs and stuff, and so she got canceled, and she kind of left the community. But that's a completely different thing. Like,
Yeah.
this guy Technicals, he basically, goes over these cases, but he's also a very hated figure in the community. A lot of people dislike Technicals, especially the higher ups, because Technicals is a very he's a very edgy person in nature. Like, he's not afraid to shy away from dark humor, and he's made a lot of jokes and stuff in his videos that he's like gotten canceled for, or that people have attempted to cancel him for. And he's just a very controversial figure. So when he talks about these serious cases and brings them to light, a lot of people try to dismiss that and are like, oh, it's Technicals, like, he's a piece of shit. Why are we taking his opinion seriously? And it kind of just goes to show, like, the incompetence of the Smash community regarding actual serious issues, taking it at face value. And I think it's a really interesting story, similar to Daniel Larson, just because of, like, internet culture and, like, all this stuff. But it kind of going into the case of, like, whether he basically divided the entire community in half, right? Because you have people who side with Technicals and, believe him in all of his stories and, like, all of his cases. And, he's right about a lot of stuff. He's done a lot of good for the community in terms of, like, exposing the pieces of shit and, exonerating the people who are actually innocent. But he gained a lot of controversy for bringing the cases of pro players Zero and Nairo into the discussion. Basically, Zero was accused. He was the number one player in Smash for Wii U for multiple years, and he had the longest tournament winning streak in Smash history. He won 56 major tournaments in a row, something that's probably never going to be beaten ever in any sort of esport ever. And he got accused of grooming a 14-year-old girl when he was 19. And Technicals basically made a video about him and his case, sort of diving into the nuance about it. And basically, people were sort of mad at Technicals because he, like, interviewed Zero and, like, tried to paint a narrative. And his video seemed to insinuate that Zero was innocent, even though he isn't all the way innocent. But a lot of the stuff that was accused about him was false, but he was still guilty of a lot of stuff. But people were mad at him about that. And then also Nairo, I'm not sure if you've heard, he was one of the people that...
The name Nairo sounds familiar, I'm not sure though.
Yeah, because it trended number one on Twitter multiple times. He was accused by another top player, Captain Zach, of raping him. Basically, Captain Zach is a 15-year-old, or he was 15 at the time, and he basically was in a relationship with Nairo when Nairo was 20, and there were multiple instances where they had sexual encounters, but it later came out that Captain Zach, who was the minor, the 15-year-old, he had actually blackmailed Nairo into having those encounters with him and, like, was trying to force him to pay hush money, and he was just a very sneaky, manipulative person and an overall piece of shit. And so once that came out, people were like, oh, Captain Zach's a piece of shit. We should unban Nairo. And Nairo, like, came out later saying, like, Captain Zach raped me. He forced himself onto me and started doing this to me when I was asleep. And then he blackmailed me a second time, blah, 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 blah. Technicals.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But he actually returned to streaming, and he's pretty active now.
Nairo returned to streaming?
Yeah, Nairo returned to streaming.
Okay.
And he's pretty active now. And the only thing stopping he was unbanned and everything. And the only thing keeping him from actually going and competing in Smash events is his ban on Twitch, because banned players can't be featured on other Twitch streams. But basically, Technicals was he brought a lot of information regarding the Nairo case to light, because it turns out that Nairo isn't actually as innocent as people claim to be. Because when you really think about it, like, as the adult in the situation, why would you let a 15-year-old blackmail you into having sex with them? Like, that seems like a choice to me. Like,
I mean, even then, it seems like Both of them are in the wrong. I don't know.
Both of them are in the wrong, definitely. Captain Zack is a piece of shit human being, but Nairo definitely isn't in the clear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they also...
Yeah, I got what you mean.
Like, old tweets resurfaced of, like, Nairo flirting with Captain Zack, and, you know, like, there are pictures of, like, him cuddling Captain Zack in his lap and stuff like that before they... Like, he was in a relationship with Captain Zack. Like, they had some sort of thing going on. So, like, he isn't completely in the clear, but despite that... You know, he's praised and regarded as, you know, like, it's a complicated story. I go into it in my video, but basically Technicals called this guy out, and he, you know, he doesn't really think he's innocent. And so he's just very controversial in general regarding his opinions on these cases and stuff. So I feel like it sparks a very interesting discussion as to, like, who's innocent, who's not. Is Technicals, you know, valid? Is he not? He got into some beef with, like, Nicholas Diorio and John Swan and a bunch of really popular commentary YouTubers regarding the Zero case. It's a complicated story, but that's what my next video is about.
That sounds cool, man. And for you all watching right now, I'll definitely be sure to add that to the pinned comment whenever that comes out. I'll be more than happy to support that for you, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it out either this month or early next month.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds cool, man. Well, thank you, first of all, so much for taking the time to have this discussion with me. You know, this is really awesome. You know, if people want to find more stuff about you, where can people go to find you? You know, anything you want to plug, socials, that sort of thing.
You can follow me on Instagram at Kusari. Wait, hold up. It's Kusari LOL, I think. Yeah, at Kusari LOL. Yep. On Twitter, it's Kusari bruh. Same thing as my YouTube handle. And on TikTok, even though I'm not really active on there anymore, it's Kusari bruh. And honestly, thank you. Thank you for having me on, dude. And
yeah, no problem, man.
This is my first like real podcast interview regarding a piece of content that I made. So, you know, beyond honored to, you know, be featured on someone else's channel. I really appreciate you giving me the chance to like talk about my work,
no problem.
talk about
Hey,
my experiences.
Thank you for, you know, giving me your time, man. You know, it's, you know, I'm always happy to have a discussion, over, you know, something like this. And, you know, thank you all so much for watching. You know, be sure, if you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. You know, I'll try to put out a video every Friday, you know, or put out an episode of this every Friday. You know, y'all know what I mean. Anyway, that's the end of the podcast, y'all. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Hopefully.
Bye.
Unless if